Guys, we're talking today about the 3 myths of chipping. So 3 myths of chipping. We're going to keep this really simple. 3 little videos. You can see them all on my channel, Steve Johnson PJ. Free subscription on YouTube. Also on Twitter at SJohnsonPJ or on Facebook at Peebles Pro Shop. Okay, so 3 myths of chipping. Myth number 1. Ball back, hands forward. Okay, so we see a lot of guys saying when you play a chip shot, the ball must be back in your stance and the hands must be forward ahead of the ball, which makes sense. However, if you chunk one, if you hit one heavy, so you get in that position and you hit it heavy, miss the ball like that, the natural thing to do is put the ball further back in your stance. So you've hit in heavy, you've hit here. So it's natural to put the ball further back in your stance to try and strike where you made contact with the ground. What that does is that makes the club come down even steeper towards impact with the golf ball. So let's imagine we put the ball back and hands ahead. Okay, I'm coming down a lot steeper now, and my strike, my quality of strike has to be spot on, absolutely spot on to get a good shot when the ball's so far back in my stance. Okay, so what we need to do, if you've chunked one or so, we need to get the club to bottom out a little bit longer, or be in contact with the ground for a bit longer, or what we call shallower angle of attack, instead of coming down so steeply. Okay, so I like to think of it as a sort of U shape. Okay, or diving into a pool, kind of U shape, as opposed to a V shape, coming straight down and up. Okay, so in order to do that, I can't make a U shape with the ball back in my stance, my hands forward, so I need to level things out a little bit. I need the shaft a little bit straighter, need the ball further forward in my stance to allow the club to have more of a U shape at the bottom of my arc to produce better golf shots or better strike when I'm playing chip shots. So ball forward, shaft a little bit straighter up and down, back, through. Okay. Good way to practice that is if you take your left hand, your top hand, so if your left hand is your right hand, your gloved hand, put it in your pocket and hit some chip shots, ball in the middle of your stance, hit some chip shots with your right hand in position on the club where it would normally be. And what that'll do is that will allow the club, or the shaft of the club, to get more straighter up and down. So we're now using the back of the club to strike the ground instead of the leading edge. So the shaft straighter up and down at impact. And then when you follow through from there, you'll notice the connection between my chest and the shaft. Okay, so that's out of connection, that's out of connection, and that is now in line with my chest. So I've got a relationship between chest and shaft now, just from hitting shots with one hand. You can see how there, see my chest turned through in line with my shaft. So I can now take some little practice shots doing that. Okay, chest shaft relationship. And again, this is good. It's very hard for me to get into this position, hands ahead and ball back, using just one hand. It's hard to come down that. I can't do that. I can release so much easier by doing that. Okay, so that's myth 1, ball back, hands forward is just a myth.